Okay, hello everyone. My name is Albert Wendland, and what I want to do for you today is to read from my latest book, which is called Temporary Planets for Transitory Days. It's a collection of poems supposedly written by a man named Michael Wranglin, who is the protagonist of my previous two science fiction novels, The Man Who Loved Alien Landscapes, and he does, by the way, and the second novel, which deals with an incident, a story in his past, something that he has forgotten, in a suspect universe. Whenever I was writing this book, I knew that I eventually would put together the collection of poetry. So I purposely put one or two incidents in here that are connected to the poems he had written in the past, and that some of the incidents here would inspire some of the poems that get into the collection. For example, there was a poem that he had written called "The Lighthouse Keeper," and it deals with a keeper of a lighthouse who sees very mysterious things at night, and he begins to wonder whether they're real or whether he's imagining them. And something very similar happens to Wranglin in the novel. So he recalls one or two of the passages in here because it's exactly the same thing that he's feeling. The poem is called "The Lighthouse Keeper," and this appears in the opening section of the book called "Nights on Alkira." Alkira is the name of the planet in a suspect universe. Okay. Each night, from the deep, from beneath wet shrouds and undefined dimensions, upheavals arise and are caught in the interrogating clarity of my light. Galleons of weed encrusted wood, peopled with pale lit, screaming ghost. Dinosaurs grappling with intestine like squid amid shooting beads of luminescent foam. Drowned spaceships tossing on their sides as planets emerge, cities crash, moons take to the sky or swim, witch fires lace the flotsam boil and shine through eyes of corpse-gaunt pirates. Whole universes spring into existence like quantum fluctuations between consciousness and death. And I, aghast, full of wonder and fear, conductor and host of these primeval forms, tender of the night, keeper of the flame, feel my heart shake and my intellect freeze. And I ask, are they mine? Do I make and embellish, or simply reflect? Do these nightly visitations beckon and frighten, yet know not of me? Are they real, but separate, or my own, and not real? Unable to answer, I stare through the night, wrestling with secrets in the crest and swells, pondering, excited, terrified, torn, seeking revelation, but longing to flee. And I think, solipsistic, yet always suggestive, are the things I see. Another poem from that early section, Nights on Alkira, deals with, the main character who's Michael Wranglin beginning to fall in love with another character in the story. And this poem is written in relationship to that. He either wrote it then or he wrote it months later. I don't know. It just turned up in the collection. And it's called "The Heart Does Not Ask." Come to me entirely. Come to me free. Be equal, my likeness. Find self in what you see. In faith, in searching, entreat me as I yield. Let me hold you. Let me love you. Make solace. Be fulfilled. Like sculptors will touch. Our minds will caress. Will be memory, pride, made of one holiness. So come to me resolved. Come to me like waves that annihilate the shore. Come to me like fire or lightning on the sea and glide, submerge, lose boundary, station, space, lose hold, abandon your aloneness and find yourself in me. And there's a little parenthetical statement afterwards saying, for my Leah. And my Leah is the character in a Suspect universe. The second section in the book is called Rocket Punk. Wendland is rather fascinated by the popular culture and science fiction of the mid-20th century because all of the stuff that dealt with the space program before it became real, because he sees a sense of wonder, a sense of optimism in that, in those stories. And he wonders, well, how can we get that back for today? Because the things that are happening in his world and in his future are sometimes not as optimistic. So this is the poem that begins the section, and it's the kind of science fiction he would like to see, and maybe even he would like to write, okay? It's called Notes Toward a Supreme Science Fiction. Thoughts experimental, speculations extreme, extrapolated futures to galaxies serene, technological epiphanies, catastrophic lost times, unruly civilizations, or post-human sublimes, unrestricted subjects, dream planets made real, designers filling emptiness with constructions surreal. Such far-projected fictions are longings come true for worlds, wonders, and a universe of you. But 3 subjects only can make my SF supreme: the obsessed, the pursued, and the space in between. There's another section in here called Tales of Old Earth, and he's writing poems about the mythology, some of the stories from Earths of the past, and this one deals with Dracula, and yet it's the Nosferatu version that appeared in the one film. Okay. Your nails are too long. Your teeth are too bright. Your hunchbacked shadow falls blacker than midnight. Stand off from bloodlust. Trade red eyes for blue. Find another or any life. Nosferatu. Your ears are too sharp. Your mouth's made of fangs. Your hands are like spiders. Your eyebrows overhang. Discard your immortality. It's what you ought to do. For saving you gets harder. Nos Feratu. Hardest thing about that poem was coming up with a rhyme for Nos Feratu. This is another poem from the Tales of Old Earth section, although this I think is a little bit more universal. He's using an Earth setting, but the subject matter, really deals with character instead of place. It's called Rain People. Umbrellas they use, not as tents from torrents, but more as disguises, masks, or screens. And their turned-up collars and shut-in coats are allies of grayness. The element becomes them as they walk, not rush, through rain-filled, lamp-struck, fugitive streets. Or you see them in windows, looking out at the damp. From behind wet streams and flat running panes, their faces pensive, secret, withdrawn. They don't mind isolation if they command good views. They're not spies, but they watch, like veiled wanderers with sharpened looks. Not aliens, but apart, in a subtly chosen exile from crowds, from the throng's taut and self-indulgent play. They touch, but don't bind. Their pleasant hello is a qualified goodbye, and a soft by your leave means a clear I must away. Like the impartial penetrating rain, they've looked into shadows. They miss nothing. They know that survival can be harmless, but hardened, unnoticed, yet real, and so invisible, neither far away nor close to their homes, in the tall wet curtains of fine falling rain. They are secret as mist and as strong as the sea, and at times they are you, and at times they are me. There's another section in here called Dark Galaxy. And in that section, Wranglin's most pessimistic, most serious, and sometimes most down poems are included. But there's one that's rather humorous, because he deals with the subject of what if planet Earth was up for sale, and so this is the used car salesman giving the pitch for Earth. It's called Earth, cheap, for sale, used planet, a fixer-upper's dream. Internal combustion engine still working, though exhaust and cooling need some repair. New widespread paint job not required, but a light rub down in places might help. Just to smooth off any barnacles or crust left by the negligent previous owners. The air conditioning might seem old-fashioned, but those ancient volcanoes have nostalgic appeal, and they require no recharge or fancy batteries. In the ruins, a quaint zombie infection might reside, creating inevitable upholstery stains, and past dwellers have left many ghosts, but these can become great tourist attractions and provide memorable campfire tales for those renewing the beaches and forest, which of course will need to be addressed. The ocean's colors might look faded from space, but they're easily restorable in time. Alignment and steering could be slightly off, but not hard to correct. And the present orbit involves no dangerous upcoming traffic. Finally, the price. Only 2 times 10 to the 8th standard, which is very good for today's market. Naturally, no credit can be accepted. Not in our current inflationary universe. But trade-ins are welcomed, especially small main sequence stars. And we'll consider even asteroids and moons. Willing to negotiate. The last section in the book is called Sanctuary, and it's where Wendland has put his most sensitive, his most personal poems. There's one here which is kind of his response to Dylan Thomas's "Do not go gentle into that good night," and it talks about what he would like to have happen to him after he dies. It uses some of the mythology from, there's some Irish folklore, Greek mythology, and Christianity. This is Wranglin's own, private desire. It's called The Chariot of Sparrows. The banshee came in a black death coach and flew soot victims to cold earth realms. Charon's ship plowed waters of ink to lay dead sailors on lost dead shores. Angels flew their meek pale spirits to equally pale villas in clouds, where boredom laced with finery and gold softened one's edge in rounds of flat joy. Yet, if this ultimate choice were mine, I'd prefer Aphrodite's team, the chariot of sparrows, to take me to insubstantial lands where substantial longings make ghost that crave, where figures desire but are carved in glass, where ecstasy's on hold in static tableaus, and life's made perfect in lifelessness supreme. Yes, take this late warm spirit of mine and draw me like a meteor across dead skies. Lift me from serene conceptual space to follow emotion's hard-wrought line. Plant me with majestic reminders of love, with symbols and icons worshipped in private by poets and prophets afflicted with delight. Take me in sorrow, take me in flight, but take me yet longing into my good night. Temporary planets for transitory days. I hope you enjoyed those. And wherever you are, if it's morning or evening, I say good night.